Right, I had been intending to do this video a lot sooner, but I've been away on a little bit of a break for the week. Also, there's been some pretty breaking news this week on the boxing front. We had the Tyson Fury, Joker, Batman press conference. Who can forget that? We then, frustratingly, had the Tyson Fury Klitschko cancellation. And then finally, we had Chris Eubank Jr. and his father, English, sign with Eddie Hearn and Adam Booth. So I've come up with a few more pressing videos that, let's be honest, people find more interesting than hearing me talk about Frank Buglioni on a Box Nation card. Nevertheless, I wanted to cover it. Because I've posted a few different videos, I'm going to cover a few different fighters in this video just very, very briefly. Because I don't have the energy to do them in separate videos and post them up. So I've just watched the weigh-ins on IFL TV. Shout out to those guys for the consistent quality content, and real shame that the Eubanks didn't give them any time. But anyway, conversation for another day to be had there. I'm going to talk Buglioni versus Chudinov. Just before I get there, I'm going to talk, I've just watched the weigh-ins for the whole card. I'm going to talk about two fighters that I thought were very relevant from the weigh-in. Firstly, Derek Chisora. I think Derek weighed in at 18 stone 8 and he weighed in wearing a t-shirt. This is not a good sign for a man who has really struggled with his weight in the past and has in many ways seen it affect his career negatively. Derek Chisora was looking in such good shape before the Tyson Fury fight. That night, he lost to a better man. He lost to a world-class heavyweight. But putting that aside, Derek, in that condition, the kind of condition he was in when he beat Kevin Johnson, for example, Derek Chisora is a top 15 heavyweight. But the guy who lost Tyson Fury the first time round is not a top 15 heavyweight. So when you see Derek weighing in a t-shirt, coming in the mid to high 18 stones, he was weighing in at 17 stones something when he was at looking his best when he was taking out those sort of guys previously. So that was an annoyance for me. He's fighting Marcelo Nascimento. Let me say that is a terrible fight, given the length of time that we've known Chisora's been on this bill. That is a woeful fight for someone with Chisora's experience and capability. Derek Chisora, we've seen him fight decent opponents over the years. Nascimento is a guy who was just destroyed by Dillian White. Nascimento is, he's low level. Derek Chisora should have no bother dealing with him. I know he took Eddie Chambers the distance recently, but the way Dillian White got rid of him, I'd be disappointed if he takes Derek more than 3 or 4 rounds. And to be honest, it's one of those kind of fights where Derek can only look bad, because Derek isn't the biggest puncher in the world, and he might end up carrying Nascimento the distance or something, especially if he comes in heavy and unmotivated. So, and it's no surprise that he comes in heavy and unmotivated against this level of opposition, let me say. So, yeah, that's frustrating. It's a frustratingly poor fight, and it's frustrating that Derek doesn't seem to be in top nick for this fight. But I may be wrong when the t-shirt comes off tomorrow night. Anyway, we'll see. It's just one to watch, to note that Derek Chisora could potentially be slipping back to his old ways. Now, another fighter who I took note of at the weigh-in, for different reasons, is Romeo. Now, this is a guy who I think will lose very soon. He's a guy who, I think he's gone up from something like super featherweight to welterweight over the course of a year. And I know he's a kid, I think he's 18, 19 years old, but his build is absolutely ridiculous for a boxer. And bizarrely, I think he's a vegan as well. So how he's doing that without any meat, I don't know. But this kid, he's a talent. But what he isn't is the best. He's not the best defensive fighter. He doesn't carry the most power. He's got athleticism. He's a gymnast. He's got fast hands. He throws combinations. He's well schooled. But he's well schooled without being a sort of complete defensive fighter. And to me, his build is getting more and more ridiculous by the day. Now, casual fans will probably watch the weigh-in and think this guy is the next coming of, King Kong, the way he's built. They'll think that he's some sort of unstoppable force. But let me tell you, the way that guy is built, it is hard to go rounds, especially as he steps up in level. I mean, I've seen him facing journeymen and, really struggling and getting in tough spots. As he moves up level, I expect this kid to take a loss because he's going to be so heavy and so bulky with all that muscle that soon, when he steps up, he's going to be fighting guys who have a natural height advantage, a natural reach advantage. For me, this is a clear case of bodybuilding and boxing conflicting. The same may come to be true of Anthony Joshua one day, who will know, but those are just two things I took from the weigh-in. Romeo looking ridiculously big, Derek Chisora looking big, but possibly in a different way. Romeo has obviously been pumping iron, Derek Chisora has obviously been, pumping pizza, or burgers or something, I don't know. Anyway, Fedor Chudinov versus Frank Buglioni. Again, I'm going to talk about the weigh-in. If fights were won at weigh-ins, Buglioni won this fight. Buglioni is in the best shape I've ever seen him. And I've actually been to Buglioni fights. I've been to Buglioni weigh-ins before. Buglioni was cut. He's very big at super middle. He's strong at the weight. He was in very, very good condition. Credit to Buglioni. He is in the shape of his life. Conversely, his opponent, Chudinov, didn't look in too impressive shape, and I thought looked very, very small comparatively. I thought Chudinov looked more like a middleweight than an elite level super middleweight. If you're watching this, leave your thoughts on the comments as to that, but for me there seemed to be a real size difference. However, I'm going to be very clear on my thoughts here. I think Chudinov wins this fight. I think most likely he wins it by knockout. Frank Buglioni, no matter what shape he's in, no matter what condition he's in, Frank Buglioni is not a world level fighter. The gaps in his game are so vast, so vast. He is... I hope I'm not exaggerating here when I say he is the worst defensive fighter I have ever seen fight for a world title. And the thing I don't get about him, and I actually really take issue with the guy in his corner, Pascal Collins, because I've watched his fight. So I watched his fight against Andrew Robinson. And Pascal Collins is sitting there in the corner and he's telling Buglioni, that was a defensive masterclass, Frank. He can't land anything on you. And I'm sitting there watching Buglioni getting peppered by a Southern area level opponent. Buglioni's defence is absolutely woeful. And as he steps up in class, that's something that I expect to be exposed again and again and again. And the fact that his trainer seems oblivious to it and seems to think he's some sort of technician prodigy is really counterproductive. The only time Buglioni stepped up in class before and fought Kamitsky, he got knocked spark out. Because when you can't defend and you're fighting in the top level of boxing, that's what happened. For me, Buglioni is very, very, very easy to hit. And Fedor Chudinov is a level above anyone he's fought before. Now, Chudinov, I'm not overly convinced on. I don't think Chudinov is too great. The performance over Sturm was a step up. It didn't leave me sort of convinced we were looking at, a truly elite, top level fighter. And as I say, I think he's small, but I just think that he's a more refined technician. And I think Buglioni, frankly, is very, very poor. If I'm honest, I could pick 5 or 6 super middleweights in England alone to beat Buglioni, let alone in the world. People talk about Buglioni having a massive punch, and people talk about him having a chance to knock Chudinov out. But in my mind, those comments are really, really wide of the mark. Let's look at the facts here. Frank Buglioni went the distance with Andrew Robinson. As I say, a Southern area level fighter who was a career middleweight. Frank Buglioni went the distance, and let's remember, dropped a draw to Lee Markham. To Lee Markham. Now, Lee Markham's a solid enough fighter, but if you're going the distance and dropping a draw to Lee Markham, how are you going to do fighting for the World Championship? Buglioni does have power. He can knock you out if you stand there and let him hit you. But the fact that he's got a high knockout ratio is only reflective of the level of competition he's been in with. Let me say, I think that the Gale, Groves, Rocky Fielding, Callum Smith, all these blokes have much more proven power at super middleweight than Frank Buglioni. A lot of people are saying Buglioni's got the power dynamic in this fight. He could catch Chudinov and he could take him out. Maybe he could. Buglioni has some punching power. And as always, in boxing, anything can happen. He's got a remote chance of knocking someone out. But for me, the power is vastly overrated and exaggerated. And if you can't knock out Andrew Robinson, if you can't knock out Lee Markham, it's unlikely you're going to be knocking out someone in a World Championship fight. I think Buglioni's very, very flawed. I think he's there to be hit. And I think he's a vastly overrated fighter. I wouldn't take him to beat Sergei Kamitsky again. I wouldn't take him to beat Fielding, Murray, Smith, any of those sort of guys. And fair play to Frank Warren for getting his man a fight. Yeah, I know he also got... It looks like Over McKenzie's fighting for a world title, which is something we'll talk about in a later video. But, you know, Frank Warren's doing a good job for his boys. We had Terry Flanagan, Over McKenzie, Frank Buglioni. Credit to Frank. They were right to take this fight. This is the easiest chance of winning a world title out there. And, you know, it's the best chance Buglioni's going to get in his career. But for me, he's not got the skill set. He's not got the technical capability. And I think he's going to lose badly, most likely by knockout, because he's so easy to hit. And as we've seen in the Sergei Kamitsky fight, if you hit him hard, you can hurt him. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know your thoughts on Derek Chisora. Let me know your thoughts on Romeo. Let me know your thoughts on Frank Buglioni Chudinov. I think Chudinov easy, probably by knockout. Thanks for watching. If you've enjoyed this, do give me a thumbs up. Really appreciate everyone tuning in.